From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmeen Altaji. It's Monday, July 7th. Here are today's headlines. Parties are back at the negotiating table for a potential ceasefire in Gaza, but obstacles remain. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he was sending a negotiating team to Qatar on Sunday for Gaza truce talks, but rejected earlier demands made by Hamas. Meanwhile, Hamas is seeking personal guarantees from U.S. President Donald Trump that the war in Gaza will come to a complete end as the main condition for a ceasefire with Israel. The U.S., Egypt, and Qatar have proposed a 60-day ceasefire during which some Israeli hostages would be released. Hamas on Friday said it had given a, quote, positive response, unquote, to the proposal 4 months after the previous agreement collapsed. The National's Mohamad Harisi reports.
Israel is saying that it won't commit in writing to ending the war in Gaza. At the same time, Hamas is seeking guarantees from the Americans that the ceasefire will lead to an end to the war. We have spoken to many sources, including a Hamas official who said that the group is seeking guarantees from the US President Donald Trump personally.
A Hamas official said the deal currently on the table would see the group releasing 10 living Israeli hostages and returning the bodies of 18 others. The response by Hamas appeared not to signal an immediate end to hostilities.
Now, this could seem like a long shot, but the US is trying to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and trying to stop the war there. And this might be the price to pay, which is to offer Hamas guarantees, like solid guarantees, that the war will end and Israel will withdraw its troops from the Gaza Strip after the 60-day ceasefire and truce.
Hezbollah is reviewing a U.S. proposal urging the group to disarm within a few months. That's according to Lebanese sources who spoke to The National. This comes before a visit to Lebanon by U.S. envoy Thomas Barak today. The Lebanese group is under mounting U.S. pressure and daily Israeli strikes. Barak's roadmap calls for a rapid disarmament of the group in return for the release of much-needed reconstruction funds for the war-ravaged country. It also calls for Israel's withdrawal from 5 occupied border points it seized in October during its aerial campaign in Lebanon, and a halt to Israeli military operations. Now, Hezbollah is also internally divided over whether to scale back its arsenal. An informed source close to the matter told The National. The increased U.S. pressure on Hezbollah comes amid a major political shift in the Middle East. As a result, Iran's proxies in the region have been significantly weakened since the Hamas-led attacks in Israel on October 7, 2023. Israel's war on Gaza prompted many of these proxies to launch their own attacks against Israel. Also in Lebanon, Shiite Muslims on Sunday gathered to mark the religious event of Ashura for the first time since Israel's war last year took out swaths of Hezbollah's leadership. Events were held around the country, but the largest was in the southern suburbs of Beirut, a densely populated area predominantly home to the Shiite community and the target of heavy Israeli bombardment last year. The National's Jamie Prentis reports from Dahiya, one of those southern Beirut suburbs.
Despite that devastation that is so apparent and continues to line the street, there is destroyed building after destroyed building. Members of the community are still deeply attached to Hezbollah and are very resistant to calls for the group to disarm.
Ashura marks the commemoration by Shiite Muslims of the death of one of the Prophet Muhammad's grandsons, Imam Hussein, in the 7th century. The gatherings draw large crowds in Lebanon and are typically used by Hezbollah to demonstrate the strength of its support base. This year's processions are the first without a speech by Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader who was killed in an Israeli strike on the southern suburbs in September. Sunday's events were held under strong security measures, typical for large gatherings such as these, but also in the wake of recent arrests of cells linked to ISIS. that have led to fears of attacks targeting the Ashura procession.
I went through multiple checkpoints and our belongings were thoroughly searched on the way in. I also noticed a number of masked Hezbollah members who appeared to be holding equipment that seeks out explosives and bombs. Hezbollah is under a lot of pressure to disarm, both internationally and also from some parts of Lebanon, but the group and its supporters remain defiant. I spoke to many of them who refused the concept of Hezbollah laying down its arms. The group's leader, Naim Qassem, who gave a speech, reiterated that point, asking how could Hezbollah be asked to give up their weapons when Israel continues to occupy parts of Lebanese territory and carry out deadly attacks on a daily basis. But overall, for Hezbollah and its supporters, the message really does seem the same. They are under pressure to disarm. They are feeling that pressure, but they are still, at least publicly, remaining very much defiant.
That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow our live coverage at our site. Yasmeen Altaji, The National.